nightmares for General Motors. GM now telling dealers to stop delivering some 2013 and 2014 Chevy Cruze cars, but they aren't saying why. Joining us with the latest details on this is Jeff Flock, live in Chicago for us. What do you know so far on this recall, Jeff?
Sandra, we're waiting for word from GM at this hour, which has confirmed to Fox Business, in fact, that it has sent out a dealer bulletin asking them to stop selling some, as you point out, 2013, 2014 Cruzes. It are only the ones with the 1.4-liter turbo engine. And now this is, by my read, although I haven't got an exact number, a fairly small number of cars. So this may not be that big a deal when we get down to it. But I can tell you that the Cruze is Chevy's #1 selling vehicle. So that becomes very important to GM. It has been the subject, we should point out, of 2 prior recalls, one having to do with transmissions. That is a current recall, which causes viewers, or drivers, I should say, to be unable to shift gears. There was also a problem earlier last year with an axle fracture possibility. So those are the 2 recalls. A very small number of cars there as well. If you look at GM stock today, Sandra, you see that, every time they get bad news, somehow the stock goes up. It was up almost 1.5% earlier. It's back off the highs, but still up for the day. And as I said, we expect to hear from GM, we think, perhaps within this hour or certainly the next hour, on exactly what the problem is.
Yeah, it's amazing, Jeff. And it's almost, I want to ask our next guest if it's faith in the CEO. We're going to bring in Lauren Fix. Jeff, by the way, stay right there in case you want to jump in here. We've got Lauren Fix, the car coach. She's going to weigh in on this. Lauren, what is on the line for General Motors with this latest problem?
Well, I think that you don't want to be too much of a knee-jerk reaction, but I think now they need to prove that they're not ignoring safety issues. And when they do come up, that on the first note that they get right on it. They also recalled today 700 ELRs, which are Cadillacs. There are not that many that have been sold. They're basically a Volt in Cadillac clothing. And it's just for a 20-minute software fix for their electronic stability control. And of those Chevy Cruzes, by the way, it looks like there's about 20,000 cars that are out on lots. So it's not like it's that much. And it is their EcoTec engine, which is a turbocharged 1.4-liter engine only, not the other vehicles. So this is what we have so far. There probably will be an announcement. I have spoken to a few dealers and tried to get a hold of someone in the media department to get more information, but you probably have as much as we all do right now. But I think that they want to really be on top of making these decisions quickly, because consumers are watching now. You bought a GM vehicle, they make great product now, but they can't have what happened in the past and wait way too long until it's too late. That's a mistake.
All great points. And Lauren, Jeff mentioned the stock's resiliency. Where do you think that's coming from? You said let's not have a knee-jerk reaction. It doesn't appear that investors are having a knee-jerk reaction to this. And in fact, that the stock has held on quite nicely through all of this. Where do you think their confidence lies? Is this about the new CEO, Mary Barra?
I really do think it's about the new CEO. They've got great product and they've had it for a while, but putting Mary in place and the fact that she immediately put in Jeff Boyer to be in charge of safety, I think that they're really trying to showcase that they have what it takes to produce quality cars, which they do. It's just a matter of the stocks, and that, of course, can be a reaction that can go either way at any moment. If it's something major, we don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday when she sees Congress. That could impact stock one way or the other. It all depends on what she says and on what they throw at her, maybe unfairly. It's a matter of how she handles it.
Lauren, hang on. I just want to bring Jeff Flock back in here from our Chicago bureau. Jeff, you are all over the auto industry. Your thoughts?
Well, we talked to Jeff Boyer this morning. Fox News Radio's Jennifer Kuiper talked to him this morning and got one of the tough questions Mary's going to get in Washington tomorrow and the next day. And that is, Jeff Boyer has worked at GM for about 40 years, much of the time in safety. What did you know? When did you know it? Why are you in charge? Why is somebody from the outside not in charge? And so I think there are going to be some tough questions up there on Capitol Hill. And, this whole thing might turn out to be not that big a deal for GM, as the stock is seeming to indicate, but they're going to go through some fire before they get there.
Yeah, Lauren, and I want to give you a chance to respond to that. What are people to make of General Motors right now? I was actually looking at it up against Ford stock so far this year, Ford outperforming General Motors shares. Is GM really a place that an investor would want to be right now with all these problems?
Well, I think all part of the stock market is risk. Are you willing to make that calculated risk to make something happen? I think with Ford, you know, it's about product and the fact that they're making lots of profits, and I think Alan Mulally is a big part of that, and that's why you're seeing the stock, I think, still holding strong because Mary Barra is in charge. And people have a lot of, I personally think that she has the ability to take GM even farther ahead than it is. But they have to overcome this very, very difficult hurdle right now because consumers are watching with a very close eye, and that could impact the stock one way or the other.
Lauren, how about the fact that, oh, go ahead, Jeff, jump in.
I was just going to say, when you talk about stock, you got Ford, and they just announced Alan Mulally's salary today. You got stable management. You got a lot of big new product introductions coming out, solid profitability, and that stock is undervalued. And then later this year, you're going to get Fiat Chrysler stock coming on the New York Stock Exchange as well. That's going to pull dollars, I think, away from GM as well, because it's going to give investors another option.
It's a great point. And Lauren, in addition to that, General Motors has kind of got maybe what could be considered far-fetched ideas, like cars that can drive themselves by the year 2020. Is it reasonable to even be thinking that's a possibility when they're having these recalls on existing cars?
Honestly, I think the timing of that from a PR perspective is not good. When you're dealing with a recall and congressional hearings, let's get through that first. And part of the rebuild, after that's all over with and they've proved themselves, whatever it is, then on the rebuild side say, you know what, we're right up there with Audi and Volvo and Google, and we're making autonomous cars and we're making safe cars and we're here to prove it. I think that's on the other side. I think they jumped the gun on letting that out because right now, I don't know if that really sat so well with consumers when they're already thinking, you know what, you've got recalls, let's clear this out first before you bring out all this good news.
All right, well, we are still waiting on that announcement.
Focus. It just pulls focus. You know, I don't think that's good for new management.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Jeff, I know that you will bring us all the latest. As soon as we get an announcement on this, we will
I'll let you know.
Bring that for everybody. Jeff Flock from Chicago, Lauren Fix, the car coach. Thank you. Well, from one troubled company to another, this time technology, BlackBerry in the spotlight after its latest earnings